the February committee meeting of the Schenectady County Legislature. Before we begin this evening, I'd like to take a moment to, some of you may be aware that we lost our former county manager, Robert McAvoy. Mr. McAvoy served as county manager from 1978 until his retirement in 2000, whereupon he accepted a position as a professor with the Rockefeller College at the State University of New York at Albany. We'd like to send our sincere condolences out to the McAvoy family this evening. Please join me in a moment of silence in his memory. Thank you all. We'll begin this evening's meeting with our first committee, which is the Committee on Economic Development and Planning, to be chaired by Legislator Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is Commissioner Gillen present? Yeah, I see him there. We have 4 items tonight on economic development and planning. 3 of them will require votes. The first is a presentation by Ray Gillen, who is the chairman of Metroplex and our Commissioner of Economic Development and Planning. And this is the required annual presentation to the county legislature from Metroplex of its previous year's accomplishments and challenges and what it sees looking forward in the future. So, Ray, I'm about to turn this over to you for your presentation. So Great. It's all yours.
I hope everyone can see it on the screen. Thank you, Legislator Hughes. It's our pleasure to be here this evening to present the 2021 report to the county legislature. I am in charge of the clicker, which is always a problem. Here we go. Despite the pandemic and the tough health situation that we found ourselves in, our economic development team was able to make 71 economic development announcements last year. It's more than one a week, and that's important, as I've stressed in every one of my presentations, because economic development's a momentum business. The more deals you do, the more deals you get, the more deals you attract to the county, the more investment there is, the more investment, the more momentum, and round it goes. So we've continued the rapid pace of development despite the tough health conditions. We begin, as we always do, with the towns. First up is Rotterdam. We completed a $10 million investment, really built during the darkest days of COVID, a new 200,000 square foot building, 17 at the Rotterdam Corporate Park, which is the biggest business park in the capital region. We have very strong interest in leasing that building. We have multiple proposals. We'll be likely making an announcement shortly on a tenant for that building that was built on spec by the Gillespie Group. We appreciate their big investment, again, during the dark days of COVID, the darkest days of COVID. That activity was very, very helpful. We also completed a 250,000 square foot complex at the park that replaced some of the World War I depot buildings, and that complex is completely filled with some really great tenants: Snyder's Lance, which is the second biggest snack food company in the United States, Home Depot, and FedEx. So continued success at the Rotterdam Park. We just completed, next slide, the renovation of the former Sears at Viaport. I was over there the other day. It came out beyond our best expectations. A very fast-growing company from Central New York called United Auto Supply has renovated that both for a retail store and a logistics hub. $103,000, a $6 million investment. We're very grateful for them for selecting our site. It looks fantastic. We'll be having an opening out there, and we'll make sure all of you are invited. We hope you can join us. Next up, we're very proud to bring the new Aldi store to the Five Corners, a vacant site that once housed a drugstore and a sporting goods store. Sporting goods store had a fire and was vacant, and the drugstore had been torn down. So it's really kind of a blighted site at the Five Corners, which is a major crossing point in the county. We've had tremendous support from people in Rotterdam who are very excited about that store, which is now under construction. We completed improvements to the bike trail. We'll talk more about this during one of the agenda items later, but the state invested $8 million to complete the trail in Rotterdam. and we completed the conversion of the former Malozzi banquet facility into a senior healthcare facility. And the former recovery room is currently being adapted as we speak into medical office space at the corner of Curry and Altamont. Next up, we worked very hard to retain Bellevue Builders. There was an issue with their lease. We got involved and worked it out. They're a big employer of almost 200 people in Rotterdam, so we're very pleased to get that done. And currently we're working closely. In fact, we have a call with him tomorrow, the new owner of the former Chalmont Bus Garage, which is a 100,000 square foot building right at the entrance of the Rotterdam Corporate Park. It's gone back on the tax rolls, which we're very excited about. We're working with the new owner and hope for some good activity at that building and a successful reuse project this year. Moving over to Glenville, you all know that we brought Belgioso, which is one of the biggest, most successful cheese companies in North America, attracted by our great water supply, our great location, our great workforce, built a new $30 million, 100,000 square foot manufacturing plant. That's old news. The new news from last fall was that they are expanding already. They've only been here with this new facility for a year or two. We sold them 40 acres with the express goal that they would, and hope that they would expand. And sure enough, they're renovating as we speak, 120,000 square feet. And that's a $6 million additional investment in Glenville. So we're very excited about that. We renovated a vacant building on Freemansbridge Road. This is a $1 million project. And we recruited a very fast growing company. We're hopeful they're as successful as another one of our marquee success stories, which is the Beekman Brothers, but the company's called Rad Soap. They're a very fast-growing company, and they're going to have their headquarters and their manufacturing facility right there on Freemansbridge Road. Next up, I want to thank the legislature for their support, and Chris Gardner, Frank Salamone, and Commissioner Landry's support and help in buying this additional property that's adjacent to the air base to support the missions, the heroes, the men and women of the 109th Airlift Wing, which is one of the major employers in the county. So we thank you for that project, which is moving forward. One of the things that's not really gotten a lot of attention, but it's something that we think is extremely important, is that Glenville received some state funding to complete the River Loop Trail. You're going to be able to step out the front door at the harbor and walk, bike, or run a 4.4 mile loop that goes from Freeman's Bridge to the Western Gateway Bridge. It's going to be a great, again, increase access and utilization of our riverfront. We're very excited about that. And we published late last year a wayfinding plan for the county, for the bike trail, the Empire State Trail that now is connected from the Colony line to the Montgomery County line. We got a lot of good feedback, a lot of good public support and reaction and input. We're processing that now and hope to move forward this year. So we appreciate all that support for the bike hike trail. The Riverside Maple Farm was acquired by Tony Hines, who runs a company called PVA, which is an extremely successful company. It's located in Half Moon. They do business around the world. And Tony has announced a $4 million expansion of that facility. It's going to be a major tourist attraction and a great anchor for that corridor in Glenville. Moving over to Scotia, Legislator Gatta really asked us to jump in and help mediate some issues that threatened the Stewarts on Mohawk Avenue, threatened it with closure. We were looking at the potential of a vacant store there. We worked out some issues with state DOT and were able to get all of the approvals in place, so we'll see that break ground this year. We're very happy to work with the village on that and with Stewart's. There's some very exciting design work that's underway right now for improving the gateway to the village on Mohawk Avenue. That's a state-funded study. We're involved at that at the planning department, and we think there's a potential there for really, really improving the Mohawk Avenue business corridor by improving the gateway to that corridor, and really linking the mansion, Glenn Sanders Mansion, with making it much easier to cross Mohawk to avail yourself of the park and the county's course plans and successful work to renovate the library there. So it's an important part of the village. And again, we think the River Loop Trail is going to be a tremendous asset to the village as well. Next up in Niskayuna, we completed phase 1 of a project that we started and are very, very proud of, the redevelopment of the Williams Auto Junkyard on the Mohawk River waterfront, really building on the momentum of the waterfront that we established at Mohawk Harbor. Phase 1 of that project is nearly complete, which is a $30 million investment, and phase 2, a second phase at $10 million, is scheduled to get underway this year. Again, this project, we work closely with the town to get this going, to transition this really very, very dilapidated brownfield site and put it back into productive use. The developer, I should note, is making major improvements to the town park on the riverfront, building a parking lot for the Empire State Trail that's very popular there. And we saw an article over the weekend where some of the folks across the river were commenting about the view shed changing. I can't even conceive of that, because the view shed was an auto junkyard. The cars were piled quite high. There were thousands and thousands of vehicles stacked one upon the other in that site. So we're very proud of the fact that we've cleaned up the Williams Auto Junkyard. Next up, we turn to the city of Schenectady. We had a very interesting project with a company called P1 Ventures. They're expanding very quickly. They relocated a manufacturing facility from Colorado to Schenectady, to Maxon Road, where they leased the former Dimension Fabricators building. It was a $1 million project, created 50 new jobs. We expanded a medical arts facility on Broadway, and we'll talk more about that in a minute, as we see more professional services like law firms and medical practices return to the city, where at one point they were leaving. We got under construction. We're well along now with the reserve at Towpath Trail, which is a $14 million residential project in the city. We completed the renovation and the lease up of the former Gazette Press building on Broadway, which is a $4 million investment. We completed a project I never thought we'd see happen. We worked very, very hard on this. I want to thank David Hogenkamp and the Land Bank, Legislator Russo. St. Mary's School had been empty since the 80s, and it wasn't put away well. It was in just horrible condition. You look at it now, it's a showpiece. And the new construction along Eastern Avenue, that was a $20 million project. And again, the $40 million Hillside Crossings development on Albany Street, which is just really, we're getting so much positive feedback on the new buildings both at Albany and Craig, and the building on Lower Albany Street right near this county building. Another project that we're very, very proud of, which is the Yates Village, now known as Northside Village. Phase 1 was completed at $24 million. Phase 2 is underway now at $70 million. My favorite story about this project was he had a gentleman come visit his family on the north side, get off the Rexford Bridge, come up Aqueduct Road, and he was so thrown off by the new appearance of Yates Village, he actually thought he was in the wrong place. He thought he was lost. He's like, this can't be the same part of Schenectady that I've always been accustomed to seeing. It's a transformational project. We work very closely with a very, very large national developer called Penrose, and of course with the Housing Authority to pull this off. Had great cooperation from the city. An incredibly complex project, and it is still underway. We completed the renovation of the former Trusco headquarters on Erie Boulevard, $9.5 million investment. We appreciate the fact that the county legislature approved CPACE financing so that projects are eligible for that financing in Schenectady County. It's a program that encourages the use of energy efficient building materials and systems. They used that for the Trusco building. It came out beautiful. If any of you would like to see it, the apartments are fantastic. The view, especially from the top floor, is spectacular. Just a great addition to the Erie Boulevard corridor. Of course, the sale of that building netted more than $2 million to the county. We relocated the Costumer. We both boosted and renovated their facilities on Barrett Street, which is their headquarters and their warehouse. Also successfully relocated their retail store to Mohawk Harbor, where they had a very, very fun and active Halloween and fall season. We're thrilled to have them call Schenectady home. The former Cohen building on Franklin Street was just completed late last year. It looks spectacular right across from City Hall, $2.4 million investment. We have the 500 State Street project underway now. This is the building, the large building right next to the Hampton Inn, which has a Bank of America branch. That's a 60,000 square foot building. It is pre-leased. It's 100% pre-leased. The $15 million investment is being wrapped up in the next few months for medical office space. It's going to bring a lot of people to downtown. And across the street, that's a typo, I apologize. It should be 501 State. We have the new ground up apartments and ground floor retail. We'll be announcing tenants for the retail space shortly. That's an $11 million. Both of those last two projects, 501 and 500, are done by Redburn, considered one of the hottest urban developers in the state. We're thrilled to have their office in Schenectady and thrilled that they've done so many different projects with us. They did the Gazette Press building. We look forward to this building coming online this year. I'm touring it Thursday. We've completed the renovation of the former OTB headquarters, again, near the Hampton Inn. Again, one project leads to another. You build the Hampton, you build the 500 State, you build 501 State. Of course, that puts the old OTB on the radar screen. We finished, again, that's a Redburn project, $5 million. Because of all the activity we have downtown with the thousands of new apartments, we had a developer from Atlanta come up. They actually grew up in Niskayuna, Aaron and Jay Summer. They're investing $7 million in a 100,000 square foot storage facility that's going up on Erie, just to the right as you head out toward Glenville and the Freeman's Bridge. Take a quick look to your right if you're on that roadway, and you'll see a 100,000 square foot storage facility going up. And we welcome the Take Two Cafe, extremely popular new restaurant right across from Proctor's, and the owner of that restaurant is opening a new facility on Clinton Street this year. We renovated a vacant lab building on Technology Drive as an RDT&E, research, development, testing, and engineering facility for one of the big players in nanotech. And that was a $4 million project. We're looking forward to that building being open shortly. They're just completing the renovations. We completed renovations to both the MVP Garage, which is owned by the IDA, and the Metroplex Garage, improving their appearance. It's a good time to work on the garage when parking was a little off because of COVID. We were able to redo the stairwells, improve ADA access, and other features. We are moving forward with 13 different projects that were approved by the state as part of the DRI funding, the Downtown Revitalization funding, and you'll see those projects move forward this year. We're a partner in the Cocoa House renovations, again, adding to the momentum in the Albany Street, Hamilton Hill area. Again, adding to the momentum in that area. The Chaz Birch Company is adding 4,000 square feet, which is very exciting. Successful retailer in Albany Street. We're helping them out and moving that forward. We're very excited about the $15 million project development on Crane Street, 2 new buildings. We're starting to turn the corner on Crane. We're starting to see momentum, and I want to thank the county because it all started with the condemnation of Chubby's Pizza, and the construction of that new county library branch has brought forth a tremendous amount of momentum and development interest in the Crane Street corridor. So thank you. to the team that put that together. I know Dr. Mono and Patrick Ryan are on. The fact that they've been such great contributors to the Mill Artisan District, both with the brewery program, but they opened the confectionery lab there in 2021. We're currently renovating, we're almost complete with the former gym at the YMCA at 13th State Street. Again, the college will be leasing that. And we're very excited, we'll talk more about it, and we appreciate the legislature's support for buying some of these lots behind the Mill Artisan District. It's already proving to be a successful strategy, as you'll see in a few minutes, as we ask for your support to lease those lots temporarily so that HBO can come to Schenectady. As we said, the Armory Studios has been a big success. We had showtime here in town last fall at the Armory, and we'll have HBO there. We have HBO there now. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Renovations to the former block house next to the Mill Artisan District are underway. We've had a lot of good buzz about Bountiful Bread opening up, and again, we knocked down the Trailway Station and improved that whole corridor down there at South Church Street, and it looks great. We're replacing this zombie commercial building on Edison Avenue with a new 10,000 square foot building. It shows kind of the good teamwork that exists with the land bank and our ability to navigate complicated polluted sites and brownfield sites. We have a new project, which is a $14 million investment, a new medical arts building right at the gateway to Schenectady, adding to the momentum in the medical arts field that I talked about earlier. And again, that's a Redburn project, and we'll be moving that forward this year. We're moving ahead with the new 600-foot dock at Mohawk Harbor. It's going to allow us to host larger tour boats, but also that can't fit into the marina now. The marina has limited capacity, but this will allow us to dock and also help the community access the riverfront for fishing, for water skiing events, for all kinds of things. It's a big dock, similar to the one that Troy just put in. We received state funding for this, and we're moving this forward right now. Also, we have a $25 million investment coming on the Broadway corridor this year. It's a very exciting project by Highbridge Development and Plan Construction. It's going to add to the momentum. We've come a tremendous way on Broadway. It's the gateway to Schenectady. It's the gateway to Proctor's and the Proctor's block. And we'll move forward with this project this year. We have some great partners in this development work. As I said, we work closely with Legislator Russo, who's the chairman of the Land Bank, and with David Hogenkamp. Have a great team there. This year, we helped form and put in place a very, very important partnership, which is Better Community Neighborhoods, Inc., merging two housing groups and putting in place a very dynamic director, Jenica Huff, who is probably the best housing person in the state, to help us redevelop and renovate and build new housing in the neighborhoods. We have a great partnership. You all have done a great job setting up Discover Schenectady. Legislator Gatta, Legislator Russo, hiring Todd Garofano was a spectacular decision. He is doing a fantastic job. He's worked very, very hard. And the decision to move Film Schenectady underneath Discover Schenectady with Donna Pinnell is certainly paying huge rewards. Donna is spectacular, outstanding, we are very actively involved now with these productions coming to Armory Studios. We have a great partnership with the DSIC to keep downtown neat and clean, and we were able to restart the ambassador program this year with some funding from Marshall and Sterling Insurance, MVP Insurance, Metroplex, and a couple of other organizations. We were able to get that very successful program started again downtown. I want to talk a little bit more about the land bank. Our chairman, Jasinski, challenged us, threw down the gauntlet and said, you guys have had some great success with the land bank, but what about 2318 First Avenue in Rotterdam? had been in this deplorable condition for many, many years, and we're very pleased that we were able to rise and meet that challenge and get that building down this year. And it was very, very good project, and the neighbors were thrilled. We, again, talked about, assembled the parcels through the land bank quietly, diligently, working to put together the team to put in place and move forward with the Green Street $15 million development. We have a number of facade projects moving forward on Crane Street. We completed late last year on schedule. It was scheduled to be completed late in the year, but it'll be available for next summer. The new splash pad at Wallingford Park. And again, we have decorative banners on Crane Street as the business corridor there starts to work together on to renovate and continue the momentum. We have a renovation going on Prospect Street and completed a renovation on Eastern Avenue, adding to the momentum in the Eastern Avenue corridor. We put in place and submitted to the state for consideration the $15 million senior housing development at the former Elmer Avenue School, now to be called Elmer Gardens. And we work very closely with Madeline Thorne and the team at Habitat, constructing new homes on the north side and in Mount Pleasant and in Rotterdam. And we demolished 4 blighted buildings in the city. A couple of examples of our work there. Metroplex has a number of pilot agreements in place. These are in over 90% of the cases, they were properties that were tax exempt. Like, for example, the Belgioso cheese property was federally owned. They either paid nominal taxes or zero in taxes. And these properties together now pay $16.46 million in taxes to the towns, the county, the school districts in Schenectady County. That's the highest number we've ever reached, and that's how it should work as the pilots increase during their life. Very interesting project we were able to get done this year, which is the Chippy project, the Champlain Hudson Power Express. The company is building a power line from Canada to New York City. They will spend $100 million in Schenectady County, and it creates, right off the rip, a $72 million rateable for our community. This is the equivalent of a $72 million factory opening that's paying full taxes. And we're very excited about this project. And we have a sample here just of some of the first year payments that'll be made by this development. To point out, Chalmont Schools gets $701,000. Scotia Glenville Schools, $436,000. Niskuna Schools, $344,000. The county gets $495,000. And this goes up every year over the 30-year term of the agreement. So we go right on the books with 100% taxes on a $72 million rateable. Census data was positive. Only 14 counties in New York State had a population increase. We were one of them, and it's very important to be on the winning side of that equation. You don't want to be in a county that's losing population, not having new investment, not having new companies come in. We're in the good company there with the 14 counties that are adding. Our unemployment rate is at an all-time low. There isn't a day goes by that I don't talk to employers in the county, small, medium, large, who need to find employees. It's at a record low level, the lowest unemployment rate since records were kept by the state. Again, that's a two-edged sword. It's very positive that we have so many people employed, but we're starting to really see a lot of companies and employers struggle to find labor. We have a small but very effective team. I want to thank the Metroplex staff, Jamie, David, Jennifer, Tonya, and the planning staff. Everyone knows Mark and Steve. They do a great job. This is the team. This is a small, cost-effective, lean economic development team. And I remind you all what was the situation in Schenectady prior to this legislature combining and creating a unified team in 2004. It was 30 different organizations with countless numbers of staff working at different purposes, not coordinating. It was a nightmare. And we're so grateful that that period of Schenectady's history is over and that the effective unified team was put in place. And again, this team administers Metroplex, both the county and the city IDA, the land bank, the county business center, we run that. We protect the aquifer, we run the ag district, which we'll talk about in a minute, and much, much more. And I really, nothing happens without the team. These are very valid, very talented folks. We also want to thank the Metroplex board and those who serve on the city and county IDAs, including several of our legislators and County Attorney Chris Gardner make great contributions to the county IDA, so we appreciate their help. Bottom line, we go to the scoreboard. 2021, $213 million in new investment. It's our second best total in the last 5 years. We're very proud of that total, despite the pandemic. 5-year total, we're just shy of $1 billion, $980 million. Since the unified team started, we're coming up on $2 billion in new investment in our county. We're running those numbers now. I hope to have them for you tonight, but we're still working on those. But we had a very good year. The economy is strong. It's growing. Good paying jobs were created. I cannot thank this legislature enough for their support. You're always there for us. Many of you are involved day to day with projects and activities and events, and you turn out to support the activities of our unified team, and I'm very much thankful for you. And I want to thank Rory Fluman and the county team, which has just been extraordinary. What performance under the most extremely difficult situation with COVID. Their leadership has been outstanding, and they're always there to support our economic development efforts. So happy to take any questions. And again, want to thank everyone. I know this is a long report, and I apologize to my colleagues who are waiting behind us with other agenda items, but it's required by law, and we give it every year, and we're very proud of the work we do. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. It was not a lengthy report. It was a very informative report. I have a couple of comments, and then I want to allow ample time for members to ask questions as they may. First, let me say that it always amazes me, and amazes me more this year when we contemplate over the last 18 years of a potential $2 billion turnaround in investment, that it's been done by an economic development staff that is not even a quarter the size of what was working on the problem before the county team took over. So this legislature staff, thanks on behalf of me and all my colleagues for the hard work that you have done, and also for the work that your team, small as they may be in number, have accomplished. One other thing that emerged for me that I want to point out that I think is significant, the number of related organizations that have come online in the last 2 and 3 years that are contributing to this work. Discover Schenectady, the Film Commission, a number of those organizations, all also working in a very nice coordinated way. We've never had that in my memory in Schenectady, and I think that plays a big part in our success. But again, a $2 billion turnaround is a pretty significant number, so we thank you for that, and we look forward to seeing progress in the year ahead. With that, I will open the floor to any members who have questions. Not quite sure how I'm going to know. If you do, maybe if you all know the little raise hand, well, just raise it, just like wave or something, and I'll see you. Anybody? Maybe not.
Gary, I'll just make a comment. This is Legislator Russo. Ray, the Metroplex team has certainly done a tremendous job. I'm not going to repeat what Legislator Hughes just said, but I know that as the chair of the land bank, that we have benefited from the momentum that is done within the commercial and throughout our community, throughout our county. We've benefited from that, and the neighborhoods in turn have thrived. And I'm so proud and so honored to be part of this team. I can't thank my colleagues enough for the support of the land bank, and I can't thank you enough, Ray, the support and the effort that Metroplex puts in and day out. As Gary said, you guys have a tremendous amount of capacity for such a small team, and we're really honored and proud to have the Unified Economic Development Team in our county. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Michelle, Legislator Osterlich.
In addition to what Legislator Hughes and Russo said, I want to just comment on the fact that the breadth of the project spans our entire county. And I really appreciate that because they're so intertwined, the economies of the city and the suburbs. And to see in all of your slides, and especially the ones that were in the suburban districts that I represent, I just really, really appreciate the fact that you are able to spread your attention so wide, but yet so deep into so many different aspects of our economy. So thank you for that, for having that far-reaching and very in-depth view of our economy. So thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from any of our members? Seeing none, Ray, thank you for.
Legislator McGill.
Oh, yes. I didn't see Legislator McGill, but wherever you are, Legislator McGill.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. This is my first time getting a presentation from Metroplex, and I just want to commend Ray and his team for the work that they are doing. It's amazing to see the development that's going on across the county. I look forward to working with Legislator Russo on the neighborhood revitalization and working with Metroplex as well. So I just want to commend you guys for the work that you're doing. The momentum is amazing. Being born and raised here, to see the development is just, again, amazing. So I just want to say thank you, and thank you for that presentation. It was really, really great and really, really insightful.
Right, we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, we certainly all look forward to another year of progress. The potential is certainly out there, and you touched upon that in a number of exciting ways. And the numbers speak for themselves. The county is one of a minority in the state that is growing, and our unemployment is at some historic low number. And we know there are some reasons for that are related to the pandemic and changes in people's habits. But nonetheless, we're creating jobs and we're filling them with people. And if we had a few more people that wanted to fill them, we could fill a few more jobs. So we thank you for that. The whole piece is coming together very nicely, and we thank you for an excellent report. So with that, we should move on to 3 other items that we have in economic development and planning tonight. And each of these will require a vote by the members to move the item to next week's legislative conference. The first is EDP 1. It's a resolution calling for a public hearing to consider the recommendations of the Schenectady County Agricultural and Farmland Protection Board regarding Agriculture District 1. These are 2 properties located in West Glenville. Ray, I'm going to ask a little forbearance for a little bit of time. If you could very briefly summarize how the ag district works for some of our newer members who may not be completely familiar with that concept, and then just sketch out where these properties are, and we'll set that public hearing and move on.
Right, so every December, which we consider probably the slowest time in the agricultural time of year, although the farmers are always busy with some chores, but December is generally the slowest time of the year. That's the time when we call for applications from farmers or potential farmers or future farmers to enroll in the agricultural district. We had 2 applications. I want to thank Aaron Roberts for helping me get the word out, helping us get the word out about the agricultural district. And we had 2 applications come in, one for 118 acres, one for 140 acres. Both are in Glenville. These 2, if they're added, would bring the total acreage in the agricultural district to almost 20,000 acres in Schenectady County. So it's a very important part of our economy. It's about 14 or 15% of the land mass of the county is involved in agriculture. And the program provides a series of benefits outlined by the state. The most important one is just to value property from a tax perspective from the view of an agricultural use versus, say, a retail use or another type of use. It's a very, very valuable tool to conserving our local farmers and growers and preserving open space. So we'd ask for your support to move forward with a call for a public hearing on these 2 parcels being added. I should mention that we have an agricultural farmland protection board made up of farmers and growers in the county, and they unanimously endorsed the addition of these 2 sites to the ag district.
I think they're both similarly used for the grazing of beef cattle, is
Right.
my recollection from the.
You are correct.
The date for the public hearing will be our meeting on February 28th. I would ask for a motion to move this item to the agenda for next week, and a second.
Move to report.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And with that, the item is moved to the legislative conference for next week. Economic Development Planning number 2 is a resolution that I suspect Ray will want to talk about a little bit more since he teased it during his presentation. And that is a resolution to authorize the county manager to enter into a licensee agreement with Legislature Center LLC. And Ray, I'm just going to read the title and not steal your thunder there. So
Thank you.
Explain to us, please.
This is the, we want to thank Dr. Mono, Patrick Ryan, Chris Gardner, Frank Solomon for their help on this. This is the 1 acre lot right behind the Mill Artisan District that the county agreed to purchase last year. It's going to be used for parking and for other support services. In addition, a parking lot that the college and Metroplex just renovated next to the Seat Center on South Church Street. That second lot, we appreciate Dr. Mono no sooner had finished this lot with Patrick Ryan and made it look great when we're asking him to make it available for probably 6 or 7 weeks of production by HBO. The license agreement calls for a 4-month period, but we believe they'll be here for about 2 months, 2.5 months. But to be on the safe side, we went out 4 months. We will accommodate college parkers who need to use the, especially staff that needs to be at the Mill Artisan District. They'll be able to park at our lot that we created where the Trailway Station was. But we have another production coming in. This is the result of the hard work of Ray and Jeff Legier that run the Armory, that own the Armory, in combination with Todd Garofano from Discover Schenectady and Donna Pinnell from Film Schenectady. They both do a spectacular job. I can't say enough about their work. They know the business. They know how to respond when producers and this industry wants to look at sites and wants to set up an operation. This is going to bring hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of room nights to our hotels during what is otherwise a slow season. The timing of it is just spectacular. It is the filming of an HBO series called Pretty Little Liars, which is coming back on HBO. It's a very successful series, and they'll be requiring hundreds of extras, hundreds and hundreds of extras. They'll be staging some of that activity at the Landing Hotel next to the casino. Please follow this Film Schenectady website if you want to be an extra. That has never been my calling, but people enjoy that. They are paid positions. When Modern Love was here, someone suggested that I be cast as a dead body in one of the scenes, and that was about the closest I got to stardom. But for those who are interested, and we have a lot of budding actors and actresses in the community, that's going to be a fun time. So we thank everyone involved in this and ask for your support to pass this resolution so we can properly host the HBO team.
Do I have any questions at all on this? Hearing none, can I have a motion and a second?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Then proposed resolution is moved to the legislative conference for next calendar for next week. The last item that we have in economic development and planning tonight is a resolution authorizing the county manager to enter into an agreement with the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation for the maintenance of a portion of the Empire State Trail. And this portion essentially extends from the Montgomery County line back through a little tiny bit of Princetown, some of Rotterdam, really the whole section through Rotterdam Junction. And Ray, as I understand it, this was a commitment we made to the state that we would maintain is it $8 million? I think it's an $8 million investment that the state made.
Yes, so the state made available $200 million to complete and fix the Empire State Trail, which goes from Buffalo to Albany. We had a very strong focus effort led by our Chairman Jasinski and others to go after this money. We did everything we could, and sure enough, $8 million of the $200 million that was available statewide came to Schenectady County, principally to Rotterdam Junction, to fix these very bad gaps that existed in the trail. You'd literally have to carry your bike over an active rail yard and other gaps in the trail that were just horrible. And so with the leadership of this group, the legislature, we brought forth last year a resolution that covered the state DOT work in Rotterdam Junction, 2 new tunnels, and other parts of the project, and asked for your support, and we received that support for a maintenance agreement. This is a smaller section of that Rotterdam Junction connection that goes from 5S, where there's a new parking lot, to the Montgomery County line. It's actually 0.45 miles, and the State Parks Department built this section of the trail, and we have to maintain it. When we started this, the county has, since the bike trail started, always maintained the Rotterdam section of the trail. So this is nothing new, but what we had to do as part of the agreement to get the $8 million for all of this work, we had to basically renew that agreement with the state to maintain the trail. I want to thank the county manager. I want to thank Joe Landry, our Commissioner of Public Works, for all their hard work, Paul Sheldon, Steve Feeney in the planning department. This is a responsibility for the county, but in exchange, we have this major upgrade. If you haven't gone out there, I'd really encourage you to go out there. It's an incredible asset for the county, and so we'd ask for your support for this maintenance agreement. I want to thank Chris Gardner, Frank Solomon for their work on the agreement.
Yeah, it's a significant aesthetic improvement and also a major enhancement in safety, because users of that trail, it's much safer to cross Route 5S now, and there is that parking area and the railroad crossings, etc. So I need a motion and a second on this.
I make a motion to move the item.
A second.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the measure is approved and moved to the legislative conference for next week, and there is no further business to come before economic development and planning tonight, so the committee is closed. Thank you all. Thank you, Ray.
Nice job, Ray.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Legislator Hughes. Our next committee meeting is the Committee on Health and Human Services, Health, Housing, and Human Services, to be chaired by Legislator Osterlich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I call the Committee on Health, Housing, and Human Services to order. We have one item on the agenda tonight. It is a resolution, HHHS 1, a resolution to accept monies from the New York State Department of Health from the local health department performance incentive program. And I see we have interim public health director Keith Brown on the Zoom. So Mr. Brown, would you like to please give us some background?
Yeah, thanks. Good evening, everybody. So this one's pretty straightforward. We hit some specific targets on our sexually transmitted infection work. And so as a result, the state scores those metrics and awards performance bonuses. So our score has earned us an $8,000 award. While it can be used for any Article 6 costs, which are just sort of a whole range of public health activities, it's strongly suggested that this be used for continuing our STI work, and so the request is to accept the award.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I also would like to commend you on everything that you had on your plate these last few years to be able to continue to do well by our STI prevention. Thank you for your team's work on that. Are there any questions or comments? Can I get a motion to report?
Move to report.
A second?
I second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The initiative is reported to the floor. And that concludes our business this evening. The Committee on Health, Housing, and Human Services is now closed.
Thank you, Legislator Osowich. I understand you're covering for Legislator Frazoni, who is dealing with a family loss this evening. And could you cover the Committee on Labor and Civil Service?
Yes, sir. And yeah, our prayers go out to Legislator Frazoni. The committee, I call the Committee on Labor and Civil Service to order. We have two items on the agenda this evening. The first is LCS 1, a resolution to authorize the county manager to implement a COVID-19 booster incentive for county employees. County manager, will you be? Yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Chairwoman Osowich. So this is really an extension of the work that we've done as far as to educate, encourage, and finally incentivize our workforce to become vaccinated. As we know, vaccinations are the number one thing that you can do to protect yourself from COVID. There is a selfish reason for this as well. It also helps us with our self-insurance funds as far as keeping our workforce healthier so that we have to pay less expenses when folks do get sick. The incentives previously on our last round, in our latest round of contracts, $1,000 as a COVID bonus, and then $250 for the first 2 shots. Were extremely successful. Over 96% of management throughout Schenectady County chose to become vaccinated, and just over 80% of our CSEA workforce chose to become vaccinated. So we're looking to do this again with the booster shot to incentivize each individual across the Schenectady County that chooses to get a booster shot, shows our Human Resources Department proof of booster to receive a $250 vaccination bonus. And so tonight we're looking for authorization for the county legislature to do this for county employees.
Thank you, Mr. Fluman. Are there any questions or discussion?
Just so I'm clear, there's no additional incentive for the other members of the unit to get the booster, because I mean that was sort of the way we ran the original.
Sure. Originally we did a bit of a competitive piece where it had to be per unit, it had to be 80% to receive the bonus. This time around, we're just doing just proof of booster for any county employee to receive the bonus itself, to making it a little bit easier.
Any other questions?
Move to report.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
A second.
Thank you, Legislator Hess. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Oh, sorry. Any opposed? The initiative is reported to the floor. The second item is LCS 2, a resolution authorizing the county manager to execute a multi-year agreement with Suny Schenectady County Community College and the Union of Faculty and Professionals of Suny Schenectady for the period of September 1st, 2020 through August 31st, 2026. County manager, are you planning to report on that?
To defer to, I see we have Patrick Ryan and Dr. Steady Muno on, so.
Ryan or Dr. Muno?
Thank you and good evening, legislature. It's great to see you this evening. we are pleased to present before you this agreement with the Union of Faculty Professionals, really, which is a composition of our full-time faculty here at Suny Schenectady. I want to commend our teams, both the administrative team and the faculty negotiating team, really for negotiating in good faith and in really in a manner that puts our students at the center. More with the details of that, I'll ask my colleague, our Vice President for Administration, Patrick Ryan, just to give you a quick overview of the terms of this agreement. With that, Vice President Ryan, please.
Thank you, Dr. Mono. Greetings to everyone in the legislature. Very quickly, this agreement is a 6-year agreement. We're very excited to have a long period of time for this agreement. Just a few items. This agreement provides clarification of dates for consideration of faculty tenure. That helps with the review process. The establishment of an ad hoc teaching and learning task force to develop uniform criteria and process to evaluate teaching and learning effectiveness. It includes an addition of a final 12-year career appointment option for employees. It includes an increase in notification time of a faculty member's resignation from 45 to 60 days. It includes the creation of and guidelines for use of a formal student course feedback instrument, clarification of classroom observations by peers and divisional deans, amendment to the salary schedule to include an increase in base salary of $1,250 per year per member in 2021, 22, and 23, and then a 2.25% salary increase to base in 24 through 26. It also includes an introduction of a not on base annual longevity payment for UFP members who have achieved 5 or more years of service. It provides for clarification on accrual and use of leave credits and includes an adjustment to certain holidays if the college is open and in exchange for the week off between Christmas and New Year's, and then also adjustments to the medical insurance plans to remain consistent with changes at the county level. Again, we're very pleased with this MOU, and I'll take any questions anyone may have.
Questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Thank you, Dr. Muno. Appreciate it. And thank you for highlighting some of the changes that have been made. Appreciate it. Can I get a motion to report?
Move to report.
In a second?
Second.
Thank you, Legislator Pratt. And all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? And the initiative is reported to the floor. And now this concludes the business of the Committee on Labor and Civil Service. And our business is now closed. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator Oshowicz. Our next committee meeting this evening is the Committee on Public Facilities, Transportation, and Infrastructure to be chaired by Legislator Pedestrian.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to call to order the Committee on Public Facilities, Transportation, and Infrastructure. We have one item on the agenda tonight, PFTI 3, a resolution to amend the 2022 Capital Improvement Program to provide additional funding for the construction of a flex pod at the Schenectady County Airport. And I see that we have Paul Sheldon on to help explain. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. In 2019, Schenectady County received a grant for $1.1 million to construct a 4-unit flex pod hangar at the Schenectady County Airport. The grant was based on design and construction costs prior to the pandemic. The project was designed for $132,000, leaving a balance of $984,000 for construction. The project was designed and put out to bid in July 2021. Bids came in over budget, and at the recommendation of New York State Department of Transportation was rebid in December. Due to the continuing price increase of raw materials, the price remained over budget. There were no bids received for the electrical component of the project and are currently being rebid. Total project costs, including construction inspection, are $1.7 million, leaving a funding shortfall of $743,395. Schenectady County Community College is planning on using 2 of the 4 pods in the hangar for airplane storage and classroom space.
President Muno has requested $400,000 from Suny, New York State for the 2 pods to be used exclusively by the college. This contribution from the college would lower the county's share for construction to $343,295. Due to the increasing cost of steel and the uncertainties associated with the manufacture and delivery of steel products, it is necessary to award the contract to the low bidder at this time so the materials can be ordered as soon as possible. The electrical bid will be opening in a few weeks, and an additional request for funding will be made in the coming months once they have been reviewed. We recommend your approval for the project funding.
Thank you, Paul. Are there any questions?
Perhaps we could get from either President Mono or perhaps Vice President Ryan kind of a capsule summary of how this benefits the college.
Thank you, Legislature Hughes, and we will jump in and ask Vice President Ryan to jump in as well. Our aviation program is one of our really staple programs that is growing, and in fact, we have a waiting list right now in our aviation program just because we don't have space and enough planes. We are in fact having conversations with other providers to see if they could come in and assist us with that. In addition to that, part of our struggle is when we get other providers, as we have done in the past really 2 years or so, there isn't enough hangar space for them to store their planes, especially when inclement weather is with us, which in essence means that our flight instructors have to get there early, clean the planes, dust off the planes, dust off where the planes are parked, just in the interest of safety, and then report that to FAA as well. So this really, in the long, makes our program much more competitive and viable to our students ultimately. Vice President Ryan, what did I miss?
Thank you, Dr. Mono. Another piece is educational space. The college doesn't have a dedicated educational space at the airport. We're currently leasing space, I believe, at Richmore. And the use of one of these pods for educational space will provide a dedicated classroom space and instructional space for our students. So this is very attractive for the college. I think it'll also cement some long-term stability in the aviation program. Thank you.
In addition to that as well, let me add one more thing to Legislature Hughes is we are also looking at several programs to introduce in the aviation program, such as avionics, as well as different kinds of simulators. And so this allows us to expand our programs because of the demand. Suny Schenectady is one of the, I think, only less than a handful, 5 community colleges in the country that offer aviation and air traffic control. Thank you.
Thank you both very much for the explanation.
Thank you, Dr. Mono and Vice President Ryan. Are there any questions for any three of them, for Paul, Dr. Mono, or Vice President Ryan?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to just, I personally want to thank Patrick Ryan and Dr. City Mono. This has been a very complicated project. We had an initial federal award prior to the pandemic, cost overruns, an initial partner from the community that had backed out that was really supposed to absorb the costs. So I give kudos to the Schenectady County Board of Trustees, to Dr. Muno and Dr. Ryan, in seeing this potential for opportunity to expand their programs out there, leveraging state municipal financing to help assist the county with the completion of this project. And once it's done, it's going to be a wonderful expansion for Suny and a wonderful expansion for our ability out at the airport. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Manager Fluman. Any other questions?
Move to report.
Thank you, Legislator Hughes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. This initiative is moved. And since there is no further business for the Committee on Public Facilities, Transportation, and Infrastructure, the committee is now closed. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Legislator Paterni. Our next committee this evening is the Committee on Public Safety and Firefighting, to be chaired by Legislator Constantine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll call the order. Committee on Public Safety and Firefighting have 3 items for you tonight. First is PSF 1, resolution authorizing the County of Schenectady to enter into a multi-year memorandum of understanding with Suny Schenectady County Community College and the Schenectady County Sheriff's Office regarding security services for the college at a rate of the Suny Schenectady will reimburse the county $95,395 each year, and it's for a 2-year contract. With us tonight is the Superintendent of the Sheriff's Department, Ronald Walsh, to answer any questions that you may have. Are there any questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion?
Make a motion to move the item.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item's been moved to the floor. Second item is PSF 2, a resolution to accept monies from the New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee for pedestrian safety initiatives. This is a similar grant initiative that Schenectady County has participated in with our other county agencies in the past, and it's for the amount of $16,500. And it's to focus on the Route 5 corridor traffic pedestrian issues. Are there any questions?
Move to
Seeing none,
report.
can I have a motion?
Move to report.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
PSF 2 has been moved to the floor. Thank you. And our last item is PSF 3, a resolution to authorize the county manager to enter an intergovernmental agreement for the establishment of a central arraignment part in the Schenectady County Correctional Facility. And we do have with us our county manager here, along with Superintendent Ron Walsh, who has been a part of this initiative from the beginning, to answer any questions that you may have.
Maybe we get just a quick overview of the project from Ron.
Good evening, everyone. Central Arraignment Court will be located in the correction facility. What it does is it takes the town and village courts and puts them all under one central location. And Central Arraignment Court will be twice a day. It streamlines the judicial process for those that are arrested and those that come before a judge. Also puts the public defender's office at arraignment under one roof, which also streamlines their office. The correction facility does have a body scanner and does an intake process and tracks everyone that comes into custody for mental health and medical evaluations. And again, the New York State Constitution provides arraignment within 24 hours, but with cap court, it will be every 12 hours.
Thank you, Superintendent Walsh. And also part of this agreement is that we will utilize our judges within Schenectady County, correct? There'll always be somebody on call?
Yes, cap court is 7 days a week. It's morning and evening, nights and weekends.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions, or the county manager need to expand any more on this?
No, thank you, Superintendent Walsh. You know, this is something that's been on the books for a very long time. It's very important as far as efficiency goes. Our local judges, our local police force, our local jail all become very busy, and we're acting in 9 different consorts or 9 different courts. When somebody's arrested in the middle of the night, or somebody needs to be seen by a judge 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but possibly it's a part-time judge from a town, to have an established set schedule for these judges so that they can cover for each other, that they can be in one place, so that it just gives more time to the individual police officer to be back out on the street instead of watching that individual in their police station or at our jail. So this is a huge efficiency for our county that we're going to. I give credit to the sheriff for moving forward and building this courtroom in his jail. We have the space, we have the people, all the local judges want this to happen. This is good government. This is good intergovernmental programming that we're doing here in Schenectady County. And I recommend that you guys move forward to let me sign this agreement. All other towns in the city have all signed on to the MOU. It's been submitted to the state. State approval is happening right now. At this point, we're just waiting for local support from this county's legislature.
Thank you, County Manager Fluman and Superintendent Ron Walsh. It is good government. And can I get a motion?
I'd like
motion.
Second.
I'll second the motion. Unless the legislator Hess wants a second.
We have first and second. All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. PSF 3 has been moved to the floor. That will close public safety and firefighting.
Thank you, Legislator Constantine. Do we have Legislator Fields? I don't believe we do. Our next committee is the Committee on Ways and Means, chaired by Legislator McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I call the Committee on Ways and Means to order. We have one item on the agenda which has already been discussed.
I would make a motion to move that to the floor, and I think that's the whole calendar for Ways and Means, is it not, Mr. Chairman?
Correct. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The initiative is reported that the Committee on Ways and Means is now closed.
Thank you, Legislator McDonald, and that concludes our business for this evening. I thank you all.
Everybody